Hey guys, welcome back to Remove Before Race, and before me is standing the fastest BMW M ever made since the 50 years that the company was born, and it's the brand new BMW M4 CSL, reviving that classic name that really founded the motorsport division of BMW. It is the lightest car of the current generation of M3 and M4, even lighter than the manual at 1625 kg. That makes it 100 kg lighter than the normal M4 competition, and it's said to lap the ring faster than any BMW M road car before it. How have they done all this? I'm going to show you everything that they've changed outside and under the skin as we salivate together over every little detail as we discover this today, the brand new BMW M4 CSL. So guys, today's episode of RBR is sponsored by my favourite wallet company, The Ridge. Why are they my favourites? Because like you guys, I love carbon fibre, and they make simply the best carbon fibre wallets that I've ever seen. Look at that, matches exactly your car. You can get the forged one as well. Now with slim wallets, I'm usually used to this type of one. Yes, I'm a bit of a tart with the brand, but these can only hold 5, 6 cards maybe, whereas in the Ridge, you can get up to 12 cards plus cash within the cash strap here. I also love that when I put it in my pocket, it doesn't bulge at all. It's super slim, and it's got RFID blocking technology, so no one can take money out of any of my cards. Now, of course, I've got a discount for you guys. All you need to do is go to theridge.com/RBR, use the code RBR. You'll get 10% off one of these awesome carbon wallets. Help support the channel as well, and you'll have something super stylish and something that matches lovely motorsport cars. So go to ridge.com/RBR. Now, this is one exciting car, guys. This car links back straight to the origins, the 50 years. Oh, by the way, happy 50th year to BMW M. And this car really links back right to the origins, back to the 3-litre CSL Batmobile, a car that really established BMW M as a tour de force of motorsport. And what a car that was to begin a company. I mean, it just looks so iconic. It was a car that was stripped out. It was a car that was fast on track. It won many races, and it began the tricolor color for BMW. It began so many of those design features that still are linked so intrinsically to our cars today, like the bigger grills, like I said, the tricolor color, even some of the badging that we'll find on the 50-year cars of BMW M today, all linking back to that CSL Batmobile. This car really set the story for every BMW M to ever follow it in the 50 years, but most of all, I think, for the M3 special editions that followed it, being lighter, being faster, being stripped out, and more race-focused. Like the other cars before it, this is a limited edition car of 1,000 units only. And just like the other cars, we've of course, firstly, had a power bump from our S58 engine. It goes all the way now to 550 brake horsepower, the same Newton meters at 650, and a 0 to 60 of 3.8 seconds. But our 0 to 200 kilometers is around about 11 seconds, which is damn impressive. We'll see just how quick this launches when we eventually get to drive the car at the tail end of the year. The car is of course exclusively rear-wheel drive, so there's no all-wheel drive option in this, and all of that power is then linked to the same ZF Steptronic 8-speed gearbox, but apparently the software has been heavily reworked, A, to have it shift faster than the previous GTS, which is damn impressive, and B, to give us a bit more emotional shift experience. Again, we'll have to see what that's like when we actually drive the car. But the most important topic for this and the Batmobile and the other GTSs, etc., is all about saving weight. And like I said, it saves 100 kg of weight versus the standard M4, making this the lightest of the whole M3 M4 series. How does it do it? Well, a lot of it is to do with the interior, which I'll show you when I go inside. But just to give you an idea, check out the normal seats and bring in these brand new, super lightweight, minus 24 kg carbon bucket seats. Then we get rid of our rear seating section. Our full bonnet is made of carbon fibre. We've got a carbon fibre roof as standard. Our carbon fibre tailgate is standard as well. The undersides of these I have to show you, which I will when we walk around. And then of course, carbon ceramic brakes coming as standard. The wheels, though they look similar, 2 kg lighter all around, 15 kg worth of sound insulation removed, and other miscellaneous items throughout, which I'll go over later. Saves a massive amount of weight, and you have to imagine this car felt nimble when we drove it normally. How is it going to feel 100 kg lighter, new kinematics, etc., and spring dampening rates and adaptive dampening rates, etc.? It's going to be quite the beast. And the cool thing about the suspension actually is that we still maintain Comfort Sport and Sport Plus as options. So it's threatening to be fairly usable daily as well. A couple of other changes here. We've got a new strut brace, which is hollow. I believe it's aluminium. We'll find out more about that later. That's more rigid. It's lighter as well. And then our car itself, let's give that a proper slam. I failed that earlier. It's 9mm lower than the standard M4 as well. We've got a bit more negative camber on the front end. In terms of options for the car, only 3 colors available. We have this lovely frozen gray here. There's an alpine white and finally a black. So those are the 3 colors that we have available. If the red details don't take your fancy, you can get rid of them as well. And this is what the car would look like without them. I personally quite like them because I think, again, they kind of link to that CSL Batmobile. The other really cool thing is that you can option those lovely yellow daytime running lights, just like we saw in the M5 CS. And why the heck wouldn't you? They look amazing. Now, I want to bring you in closer, show you some of the really cool details and options that you can have around the car. So come in closer and let's have a look. Guys, I absolutely love the way that this car looks. I know that there's so many detractors of the grille. Let's talk about the grille first. That's been removed to save weight, and they've got like a more reduced one here with like a Y shape, which is quite lovely. You'll see CSL logos all over this car, which I think is important. It's more stealthy than the GTS, but it's important to kind of make sure that everybody understands that this is a really special car. Of course, you see the 50 years of BMW M logo here, linking nicely again to the Batmobile. No car deserves it more than this one, of course. But I think that grille treatment now, I think it's starting to work. I always threatened that if they did a more exciting version of the M3 or the M4 with a more exciting grille, the whole thing was going to come together. And I think it is, particularly now when we have the full carbon fiber reinforced plastic bonnet. Here you can see the carbon fiber here, which looks lovely. As I said, this is optional, but I think it suits it. I really do. And that then links nicely going into the larger grills here. I'd love to know what you guys think. I can imagine the comments already. I'm immune to them, to be honest. I think it works. Then we have, of course, the much larger lower splitter here, again, helping us aerodynamically. It looks good. It's not too much. There's not a massive amount going on like there was on the other GTSs. I kind of like that about this car, and that translates more to the rear when we go to see that. But just to give you that idea. Again, CSL badges, not here, but there's actually just an M4 badge, but it follows the same idea of having that red graphic, which again is unique to our CSL. And then the red line flows across our lower splitter, which is actually identical to the M4 as well. This car has the carbon exterior package, so you've got all the carbon here as well. All of that standard on our CSL. We also have the M4 CSL logo just on our carbon splitter here. Again, I missed that one earlier, but that's nicely hidden. Again, if you know, you know. Now, I promised to show you guys under the hood. All of that is fine. You've got black writing, you've got the new strut brace, but look here. This I love. Just like on the M4 CS, just like on the GTSs, the DTM, etc. It's so important that when you're owning a special car, the engine area has to look special, and this really does. It looks great. And you'll see the same when I show you the tailgate in a minute. The lights, beautiful. Look at them. Absolutely perfect. I love that link back to motorsport with the yellow lights, just like in the M5 CS. And again, it makes this car stand out. It looks special. Not shouting about the fact that this is a special edition M4, but those who know, know. Then when you look at the 3/4, this is why I'm saying I think front end really works, in my opinion now, on a more aggressive car with more going on. I mean, maybe a normal BMW grille would look okay as well, but this is meant to be the fastest BMW M to ever lap the Nürburgring. It's got to look the part, and where it's somewhat stealthy on the rear, the front really tells you that this is the CSL. But talking of that rear, let's check it out now because there's some details there that I absolutely love. Now, the rear actually surprised me the most because I wasn't really expecting this, having seen the spy shots, etc. I assumed either a spoiler or a giant wing like the other cars that we covered. However, they've gone in a totally different direction here with the lovely ducktail. Look at that. This, of course, is going to provide us more downforce without going for what a lot of people deem to be a silly big rear wing. I don't mind either, but this is very classic. I think it's going to age very well. And frankly, it just gives the car a stance that the standard M4 doesn't have, and indeed the ones with the wings, if we're totally fair. You open it up and you can have a look. Some beautiful carbon fibre. As we said, tailgate, front bonnet, etc., all using carbon fibre reinforced plastic, which is lovely. Then you come close here and you can see the badging. I like the fact that they're using CSL badging around the car. It's going to be a rare car, undoubtedly will be pretty expensive, but you need to identify it as a CSL, and I like that. Of course, the 50-year BMW M logo being used across all brand new BMWMs that are going to be sold this year. Of course, going to be on the CSL as well. And then at the top, close that again, at the top of our boot lid here, again you see some nice aero cuts defined there as well. And those link then nicely onto our carbon fibre roof, which has got our optional red racing stripes. But again, that groove, it continues through from the boot lid onto the roof. It's all very nice and symmetrical. I like the symmetry. What I like even more are these lovely BMW Laser Lights. Check out what they look like when you turn them on. Is that not beautiful? When they're off, they're just dark and they look amazing and they look really stealthy. When they're on, I don't know what to call this. We've called it like, they're like coat hangers, or is it an egg whisk? It's something a lot cooler than that. In reality, it looks really, really nice, and it, again, differentiates this car to your standard M4, which is a nice little touch. As I said, when it's off, it looks darker and it looks more stealthy, and that's a really nice touch. Down here, we've got titanium exhaust system now. So titanium silencer, in fact. We'll see what that sounds like in a minute. The standard exhaust tips of the M4 were pretty aggressive anyway, giant shotguns, as we know. This carries that forward. It's not really shouting about that aspect. It's more our ducktail here that gives the game away for this being a little bit more exciting. Now we come around the side, a few more changes. The wheels, although they look similar to your standard M3 and M4, they're actually a different design. I couldn't tell that till I got close up to the car, but it's definitely a different design. Same sort of theme, but more angular, more kind of inset. Of course, you've got the lovely 50-year logo there. The M badge is in a different place as well. And these are 2 kg lighter per wheel. But in terms of the width, etc., and the tyre size, all identical to your standard M4, but they do come as standard with Cup 2Rs. And if you want, you can then option the Pilot Sport 4Ss if you want as well. Now next, of course I'm going to give you a proper look, but it's nice sometimes to look from the outside in, and it's that first impression you get. I don't know if you guys can see this as well as I can. The new carbon bucket seats look incredible. Exactly like you'd find in something like a 2RS or a 3RS from Porsche, a crazy track car from McLaren. Same level of eventfulness as soon as you see them inside the interior of the CSL, and everything else exactly the same as well. Very reminiscent of GTS, very reminiscent of the M4 DTM, etc. All of those cars, I'm remembering them by looking at this. Let's have a proper look through this right now. That hits you straight away, that gorgeous center console. Incredible, look at that. The bucket seats, so inset, so deep. I mean, our standard ones are my favorites, as I've always said. These take it to the next level, and then of course, no rear section. A huge CSL logo in the back. I'm going to show you all this properly, but this is that first impression that you get when you come near the car. And it's really intimidating, exactly what you want. But the thing I love about this car is when you close the door and you step back, one might mistake it for a standard M4, maybe. It's not as shouty as the old ones, but it's promising to be just as effective on tarmac. So Jamie, my cameraman, has kindly insisted how I should show how awkward it is actually getting in the car. Thank you very much, Jamie. What's my finger keep doing that for? It's strange. It's not that difficult. Okay, it requires a bit of practice, more finesse than I have, but not too bad. Once you're in, then you're in, and that's it, you're trapped. But I really like this. This is very, very special in here. First touch points are your steering wheel, and this is a thick trim thing with some very dark, very nice Alcantara here. Really, really thick 12 o'clock marker in red, which looks rather wonderful. You won't find that on any other M car. The rest, if I'm just solely looking at the dash, very familiar in terms of M3 and M4, you're going to see a very different dash coming up. I won't say anything more than that, but in a future video very soon. But But yeah, this is all very, very traditional. Door card as well, unlike say M4 CS and some of the other predecessors to this car that we saw. We're not seeing like a carbon door card or something reduced here. Still got all your storage capabilities, which is great. And when you start losing those little pockets, you realize just how useful they are. So it's nice that we still retain that. But then everything else just changes dramatically. And it starts from this point onwards going back. First of all, the center console, because it's such a highlight as you're walking in, it looks great. It's all in carbon fiber here. This is all unique to the CSL. It's lovely, it's very symmetrical. You've got your armrest here, which is finished in nice Napa leather with the CSL logo, and you've got the storage unit underneath here, which is great. There's no storage here. It's a bit of a shame. All of this to do with weight saving, of course. Your drive unit here, exactly the same as M3 and M4, so nothing alien there, all very easy to use. You've got your M mode button, setup button, exhaust, iDrive, all of that remains. Same with your infotainment system, so we don't need to dive into that. Then the seats, look at these seats. They're incredible. They're even lighter than the already light carbon bucket seats in your competitions. Those, as we know, they save something like 30 kg per car. These save even further weight compared to those, so help saving a lot. In fact, the changes in the interior are where I think over 50% of the weight saving for the CSL has happened. Got 24 kg just from the bucket seats, 21 kg from removing the second row of seats in the back and optimizing the luggage compartment, 15 kg from removing all the sound insulation. You've got lighter PVC, you've got no air conditioning as standard, so just normal climate control in here instead. So you think this is actually quite stripped out despite the fact that it doesn't look that way. And then furthermore, you're restricted on the options that you can actually have on this car. There's only a few, like you can get heads-up display if you really want it. The alarm of the car isn't even standard. You have to spec it, and then they've specifically listed things that you just can't get on this car. For example, the gesture control that you BMW nuts love so much. No, you don't. You're not going to miss that. You can't get that. Driving assistance packages not available. Parking assistance packages not available. Harman Kardon sound system not available either. So lots of restrictions, letting you know that despite the fact that it's a little bit more stealth outside than GTS, etc., by no means is this taking things easy. It is serious about saving weight and stripping the M4 down to its bare basics. Closer look at the seats. I love the red Alcantara that's dotted around it. I love the CSL logo hid within there. I love how it looks that much more extreme, but still extremely related to the carbon bucket seats in the competition. Obviously, it's very deep. You saw how difficult it was to get into it. But the overall effect, like I said, really nice, really theatrical. You got your fire extinguisher here, which is in red as well, which is great. You look at the back then, of course the rear seats are removed, you've got the luggage net in there. And then right at the back, there's this really thick 3D CSL logo, again, which is really nice. I love to know what this car sounds like. With, you see inside the boot, everything stripped out. That's gonna help with the sound. The 15 kg of sound insulation removed is gonna help. No rear seats to block the sound as well. This thing is gonna sound really quite interesting. Speaking of sound, let's turn it on. Let's see what it sounds like. It's gonna be an interesting one. That's interesting. I'm hearing a lot more. Obviously, I've got the door open, but it just sounds a different animal to the standard car. And that's exactly what you want with the CSL, right? So guys, that's the new M4 CSL. Can't wait to drive it. It seems like a proper successor to all those M3s and M4 special editions from the past, linking straight back to the Batmobile. Love to hear what you think of it. Love to hear what you think of the looks inside and out, which are quite stealthy versus the cars in the past. Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, please do like and most of all, subscribe to RBR, and I'll see you guys next time.